Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about the moon conjunct Jupiter in Synastry. Now, the unconscious side, inner personality, which is the moon person, and what the Jupiter person has enthusiasm and exuberance for may be strongly, they're in sync and integrated. Um, if the moon person has their moon, say in Libra, you know those um, you know those emotional needs of the moon can include art, it may be fashion design, peace, negotiation, bouncing ideas off others, collaborating with others on projects and endeavors. And the Jupiter person, and more if the Jupiter is in the same sign as the moon, if it's in Libra, then with the conjunction, then that Jupiter person may have that enthusiasm and exuberance for those same things that are connected with the moon person's emotional needs. Now, in most cases, when you have the moon conjunct Jupiter, it will be in the same sign. If it's sometimes you'll have it on occasion, you'll have it where it'll be an out of sign conjunction. And when that occurs, I mean, the basic interpretation of this remains the same. You just don't have the same sign, energy. You still, I mean, Jupiter can still enlarge the moon's a person's emotions, as an example, can still bring happiness and joy and enthusiasm into that moon person's life. But one of the big differences would be it wouldn't be where those emotional needs would be the same as what that Jupiter person has the enthusiasm and exuberance for. But anyway, the thing is, again, the Jupiter person may enlarge and expand, so to speak, the moon person's, emotions, and that could be good and bad. Remember that conjunctions are neutral aspects that can have good and bad qualities in them. And when you have the Jupiter conjunct moon, in synastry, you could sometimes enlarge, the emotions for the worst. I had a friend of mine that had his Jupiter in Gemini conjoin my moon in Gemini. And sometimes I really think a lot of it had to do with this conjunction we had in Synastry that would enlarge and expand a lot of high strung, excitable, animated emotions, which really, animated energy really wasn't always that good, you know. And the thing is, but at the same time, it can enlarge positive feelings and emotions too when you have this conjunction in Synastry. Now, another thing is, too, is that when you have this Synastry aspect, this could be, the Jupiter person may make that moon person feel happier and more jovial. And it could also bring more humor into the home. If the moon person is in a home situation, where things are, if it's a turbulent situation or there's a lot of upheavals, or the moon person is having, some kind of contentious situation with a family member, that Jupiter person may be able to uplift that person and maybe even bring, more humor into that person's home, laughter, and amongst not just the moon person specifically, but even the the people in the home, whether it's family members or roommates or what have you. Now, this could be an aspect of protection. Jupiter and the moon both have a connection with it. The moon is protective. Jupiter, has a connection with protection. These people may really look after one another, but as I stated before, having the conjunction aspect, again, could have good and bad qualities in it. Sometimes, the familiarity breeds contempt theory can come into play, and you can have a lot of friction. So or certain friction when you have conjunction, aspects in astrology. Remember, they have good and bad qualities. Conjunction aspects because they're neutral. And the thing about this too is that the Jupiter, when you have this aspect, the Jupiter person's beliefs and philosophies may this is where the moon person may be sensitive to that. for better or for worse, if the Jupiter person, say, has their Jupiter in Aquarius, those philosophies may be connected with astrology. They might be ones that are very unique, unorthodox, unconventional. And the thing about this too is that you have the moon person may care about the Jupiter persons as far as college and higher education, making sure that person gets a college education. If this is a situation where you have the moon person, say the moon person is the mother of the Jupiter person, that it could be an aspect where that moon person would really care. I mean, the mother would really care about the Jupiter persons, their higher education, and also their beliefs and philosophies in general. Now, this could also be an aspect of forgiveness. Jupiter person, may readily forget about the moon individual's transgressions and the past history. And the two of you, the two people in this Synastry aspect, may at some point, they may reside in a foreign country, and the Jupiter person, may often spend extravagantly on the moon person's food. For the moon person, it's interesting because when I was renting a room out or staying in a room in an office one time, and the person there, that's the person that has the Jupiter conjunct moon aspect with me. He had his Jupiter conjoined my natal moon, and he would buy a lot of food for me and get me McDonald's, and he spent a pretty exorbitant amount of money on food for me, so I thought it was very interesting. But what I want to get at is, as I've stated in earlier videos, and I'll state it in this one too, as far as natal chart placements go, you're gonna, you never isolate, any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on that alone, because the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. And the same applies to Synastry. One Synastry aspect certainly is not going to make or break a relationship or a connection, and the moon conjunct Jupiter is certainly no exception. Now this, I mean, the conjunction aspects are neutral, but this could have a lot of good qualities with the Jupiter person bringing some luck and fortune, and even prosperity connected with the moon person's emotionally. So let's say you have the moon conjunct Jupiter in Synastry, right? But let's say you have the same two people. The moon person has their moon making an adverse aspect to the Jupiter person's Saturn. Well, that Saturn person may often, it might bring that moon person down and look negatively, to look at the negative qualities of that moon person's unconscious side, their inner personality, as opposed to building them up. It might make the moon person feel somewhat despondent or disconsolate, or what have you. So it's really, you've got to look at the whole, picture when you're delineating the charts. Now, the moon conjunct Jupiter, the basic delineation would remain the same, but when you have, you could still have other aspects that could offset it, and the moon conjunct Jupiter aspect in Synastry may be a little bit less intense as a result. Now, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.